Hi, and welcome to Soul Searchers of Spring Hill. I'm Ricky, and today we're at another Spring Hill, Tennessee location. This time, it's the Spring Hill Cemetery, which is on Macklemore, which is a side street right off of Main Street. A lot of people are probably not aware that this historic cemetery sits right here on this back road, but we are going to take a tour and find out all the history right here in Spring Hill and the people that originally started this city of Spring Hill. So come join us. So today we're going to start on our tour with Mr. Bill Ossip, who is the Ambassador Emeritus for the Tennessee Children's Home. And thank you so much, Bill, for having us out today.
My pleasure. Martin Cheairs actually built that house over there on the campus of the Children's Home, and it was the Cheairs home until 1904, and that's when the name was changed by the Branham and Hughes Academy to Ferguson Hall.
Okay,
so
and obviously we're here at the Cheairs family gravestone.
Yes.
So who is represented here?
Well, this is the father. This whole family came from South North Carolina. The Carolinas, they migrated over with a number of others, the McKissicks and the Whites and all. And on this side, and I don't know exactly how they're laid out here, but the father, the wife, and then over here on this side is Martin Cheairs, the owner of the property over here. And it was this Martin Cheairs on this side of the monument who actually donated the first acre of land for the cemetery.
And this was the first cemetery here in Spring Hill.
It was, and yet there were two other cemeteries. One, the McKissicks had one over here behind Dr. Hardin's house, and it was moved over here in the 1870s and 80s. And so you've got McKissicks along this area right here.
Was in this direction of Spring Hill?
It was back over here
okay.
By Dr. Hardin, the Hardin house. And so that cemetery, the family cemetery, was moved over here. The Peters Cemetery was located on the property of the Tennessee Children's Home. And I don't know exactly, I'm trying to find out exactly where it was. One record says it was where the ball field is located, which is over here at the corner of Scotton Street and School Street. And if the cemetery were located there at one time, that would just be some searching that we might have to do.
Right.
Maybe soul searchers.
And so, would you mind taking us on a tour of the rest of the cemetery and telling us some of the history and who all is buried here?
Right, we'll do that. This area that we're standing in right now, since 1864, there were Confederate soldiers that were buried here in unmarked graves. In fact, it wasn't until just about 3 or 4 years ago that these markers were being placed here by the Nathaniel Cheairs camp of the Sons of the Confederate Veterans. And they started this project. They put the marker in here for Captain Freeman, and then they put in all the other markers. There were at least 39 that we know of that were unmarked. There were a group of ladies after the war of about 1874 or so that began to realize that there were soldiers that had been buried just all over the county and in Williamson County and here, and they began to bring them back to Spring Hill, but they did not have the funds to put markers. And so they were buried here in this area right behind us. And then, as I said, the Sons of the Confederate Veterans have made an effort to get all the graves, or at least a marker in memory of those soldiers that died. So this whole area here was unmarked until just within the last 4 or 5 years.
Wow. So you said just recently
That's
that
right,
they've been able to.
And see, that would have been more than 100 years ago that the soldiers' bodies were actually interred here, but they just never had markers on them. And we do have a list. The list was published of the ladies that gathered all these bodies up from around the area and brought them to Spring Hill. That list was published in the papers in the late 1800s.
And so now we're at another prominent person here in Spring Hill, right?
This whole row of markers here are the McKissicks. Of course, they were the ones that did a lot of the construction work here in Spring Hill and of the antebellum homes. And they had a personal or family cemetery located over here behind Dr. Hardin's house. But later it was moved over here. And so all of these markers identify those people. And several of these along here are people that were actually born in the 1790s. 1790, wow. And then they moved to Spring Hill and then passed, and then were buried here in, say, 1840. So it's all very interesting as how this is a history book kind of unfolding in front of us.
Right, exactly.
It tells you where, some of them even go so far as to identify actually how old they were when they died. So many years, so many months, so many days. And I think that's quite interesting as well. You'll see all the McKissick marker, the big one down on the end down there. They have that on all three of those markers. The number of years they lived, the number of months, and the number of days.